Howdy, welcome to the Otherworld Dream. Some have wondered why I'm an atheist. Well, to start, I was indoctrinated as many people were. My mother and father taught me that Pentecostal Christianity was the way to go. It was the only option for me. Nothing else existed. But that's normal. And I went through all the normal stuff. They tried to get me to speak in tongues, but that never panned out because that's not real. When I was in high school, there was a distinctive lack of Christian love. There was definitely some degree of that from the adults, but not from anyone of my age or in my class or any students at all. I didn't have any friends. But, that's not a reason to say Jesus doesn't exist or anything like that. But it certainly didn't help. They were supposed to lead by example and didn't, and that hurt and helped lead me on towards other things. There were a number of things that started heading me down the path to atheism. Morality is not set in stone. It is not dictated by God. Morality changes with the times. Consider the Aztecs. They had human sacrifice. That's what they knew. It was the lesser of two evils. They believed sacrificing people appeased the gods, because if they didn't, those gods would kill everybody. So, killing a few saved everyone. So, killing people was moral back then. It was expected. Even children were taught this is what's right. Well, that's not what's right anymore, is it? But it was moral back then. So, morality does change. We know this. But what really clinched it for me was infanticide. Here's a verse from the Bible. There are many others, but here's one. 1 Samuel 15:3. Now go attack Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and do not spare them, but kill both man and woman, infant and nursing child, ox, sheep, camel, and donkey. Now I know this is a warring tribe, but in my opinion, babies and infants are inherently innocent. They don't even know how to sin, much less know what that word means. Not that it's even real. But anyway, for those who believe in it, even they can attest that babies don't even understand the concept. So how can they be guilty of anything? Yet God commands that they die. Well, in my opinion, only a monster would do that. Nobody kills babies. So, at that point, that critical point in my life, I had to decide, is God a monster or does God not exist? I decided to go with God does not exist. And further research taught me that that's pretty much true. Everybody just considers the flood, even though that's not real, it didn't happen, as just wiping out humanity and whatnot. But what they don't consider is that the flood wiped out all the babies too. Understand that Noah's family were all adults when they went on the ark. Even if they were pregnant at the time, it doesn't say, but either way, that means that every last baby was murdered on the entire face of the entire planet. How is that justified? God said the world was evil and it had to be eradicated and hit the reset button. But that was not the fault of any of the babies. Yet they still had to die. For what reason? Explain that. Nobody explains that, oh, I'm sorry, someone tried to. Recently, a preacher and his wife came up to my door and they started preaching to me, and I said I was an atheist, and they wanted to know why. I told them what I'm telling you now about infanticide. And they said, well, God was saving the babies because they're all in heaven now. And God knows everything, so he was sparing them from a bad life or something. And we can't know because God knows. But I retorted with, it would have been better had they never existed. Why allow them to be born only to die? That makes no sense to me. If God is merciful, do not allow them to be born. They really just repeated themselves, because that's what I get a lot from theists. They just repeat themselves over and over again. I wasn't able to make any headway with him, but I never believed I would. One thing I wanted to add, special pleading. The preacher, he was making excuses about why God killed all the babies, when this would be an unconscionable crime if committed by anyone else. They would deserve the death penalty, to be electrocuted, because nobody does this. Nobody kills babies, especially in mass, especially across the entire globe. That's unforgivable. Anybody else's standards, that's unforgivable. But God gets a get out of hell free card. God should be the first one headed to hell, in my opinion, because no one has committed the kind of atrocities that God has. No one. In fact, I recently watched a video by The Sound of Science. Really respect that guy. He makes great content. Go follow him. But he was talking about Stalin and Hitler and all the people they killed, and how God killed even more. I responded to his video in a comment that God didn't kill anybody, because God isn't real. But more people have died in the name of God than both Hitler and Stalin combined. This is my opinion. But I believe that the number one cause of death throughout the whole of history is religion. Doesn't matter which one. They believe they're right, and those people who aren't, if you can't convert them, kill them. That was the going theory for most of humanity. Special pleading, you just can't forgive some things. You just can't do it. There's lots of other evidence, like confirming that Noah's Ark isn't real. There is no way that many animals could fit on the ark. It would have taken a fleet of arks for that. And what nobody seems to consider is, where's all the food? Even elephants would need tons of hay or whatever they happened to have back then, which would have taken up too much space on the ark for the amount of time that the ark was floating out there. But then you have all the carnivores, and did they just starve the entire trip? It doesn't make any sense. And if you want to get technical, then you also have termites, and guess what they eat on a boat? Too many things don't make sense. And that's just one story out of many. So I could go on and on and on, but there in a nutshell is why I'm an atheist. Please let me know your comments below. And if you like what I have to say, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.